Let's have a quick look at this short seller report that came out yesterday, and I will tell you where I think that this is actually a flawed thesis and also show you a couple of other reactions. So the main thesis in the short seller report is around this battery asset management company that NIO has established. So this is a separate company, it's not NIO's company, but NIO has taken a stake in this company along with other shareholders like CATL and other bigger companies. And the purpose of this is, of course, that other companies can actually join this company and actually also benefit from battery swapping. And the creation of this separate company, you can think of similarly like a leasing company for Volkswagen. Volkswagen has a Volkswagen company which is manufacturing the car, and then also a Volkswagen Leasing which is doing all the leasing contracts with the customers. So it's a similar setup, but what NIO achieved here is actually also a separation between the car and the batteries, because the batteries that NIO makes swappable, so they don't belong to the actual vehicle chassis, they can be sold separately from the actual vehicle body. And so this means there are actually two invoices for it, one for the vehicle and one for the battery. And in the case of, if someone is choosing the so-called battery as a service, then this is actually a contract that is on the balance of the battery asset management company, and the customer of this contract will actually pay the monthly fees to this company, and as a return, NIO will directly get the revenue for the battery that they are selling to this company. And this, of course, gives NIO a couple of benefits. First, they can already claim the revenue for the battery. And second of all, the batteries are not on a balance sheet, so meaning they don't have to pay for the depreciation and stuff like that. And so this is actually quite a good business innovation there, and it's totally legal the way NIO has set these things up. Now let's come to the core argument or thesis of this short seller report, which is about this battery asset management company. The short sellers have basically looked into a document that this company has used or published in order to raise new funds, because in that they could find some information. So for example, they say, according to this document, which is actually dated for September 2021, Wuhan Weinong, this is the battery asset management company, possesses around 44,000 batteries. And they say also, according to this document, there were only 19,000 users who have chosen this battery as a service. So essentially the claim that they're making here is that there are only 19,000 subscribers to battery as a service, but more than 40,000 batteries. So why are there so many more batteries? Is this a way that NIO has used this company in order to sell more batteries to this company and so getting revenue of that, while there are actually not that many subscribers? So this is the core calculations here, where they are, according to those insights which they have, so the 40,000 batteries and the 19,000 battery subscribers, make those estimations of how much revenue NIO got on top and how much this also has weighed on the net income reported, and thereby put NIO in a better position. Now here is where I think this short seller report is possibly based on the wrong numbers. So I looked at the document which they are citing in the short seller report. So this is from this Weinong battery asset management company, a report that they have published in order to also raise capital. And it's a very lengthy report as always. And if you go into the report and you're looking for this 19,000 battery as a service subscriber number, you can find it in a couple of paragraphs here, and you will also find the exact page that they have quoted in this short seller report for the 19,000 battery as a service subscriptions. Now I have copied this paragraph in Google Translate in order to show you what it actually says. And here, this is the paragraph where you see the 19,000 mentioned, and it actually translates into Wuhan Weinong, so that's the battery asset management company, screened out 19,000 battery lease agreements according to the eligibility criteria and based on the specific creditor's rights. So the keyword here that I've selected in Chinese is 筛选, and that literally translates into filter or select. So there's nowhere in the report a statement where they say, look guys, we have 19,000 battery as a service subscription agreements. What they are saying here is they have screened out, they have selected, they have filtered 19,000 of these contracts according to some certain criteria in order to describe the business model in this report and how it's actually working. And as you see, this is an uneven number, right? So why would they have exactly 19,000 battery as a service contracts? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So it's more likely that these 19,000 contracts have actually been chosen out of a larger pool of the real number that they are actually having in battery as a service customers. So going back to this short seller report, once again, they are basing their numbers here on the claim that there are only 19,000 battery as a service subscribers by September 2021, while there are 40,000 batteries. The problem is that this is not stated as such in this report as I have just shown you. So the real number of battery as a service subscribers is very, very likely much higher. When NIO started battery as a service, initially the take rate was around, I think, 35%. And has actually gotten even higher. I think it's now more likely that like 60%, meaning 60% of car buyers of NIO cars are actually choosing a battery as a service subscription because it's hugely successful business model in Norway. By the way, it's more than 90%. And so this battery as a service subscriber base is much likely very much higher. And more likely also in the area, of course, where the number of batteries are that are on the balance sheet of this company there. So once again, summing this up, the short seller are claiming that there's only half the number of battery as a service subscribers to the ratio of batteries that are on the balance sheet of this company, therefore saying that actually they bought too many batteries from NIO and this helped NIO to increase the revenues. But from the report, from the actual document that the short sellers are using, it cannot be found that these are just really only 19,000 battery as a service subscribers. It seems more likely that they have just selected this sample size in order to write this report. And this is where the short sellers possibly used a wrong number in order to come up with the narrative that there is an imbalance between the subscriber base and the batteries. NIO today already published a statement saying and responding to the short seller report that there are various errors and false allegations in this report. And it should actually, if I'm right with my take here that these numbers don't match up, it should be quite easy for NIO to show with the actual Fahrpiao, so the Chinese receipts that you're giving for the batteries and also the actual number of the battery as a service agreements, the contracts, that there is no such imbalance. It seems that the short sellers in this case didn't get the numbers really right. And that actually also showed in a following Twitter space, which I listened to, in which we got an interesting reply by people that listened to the space.
How many NIOs are on the road right now?
I think the company in total, for the subscriber agreement, there's 19,000.
No, but NIOs in general.
100,000. Say 100,000 cars were sold in total in
that's
history.
I'm looking at it right now. There are 204,000 as of our latest numbers. I don't. You're off by half.
Sorry.
And you wrote this whole report. And then you're also, it seems that you're shocked at how these joint ventures work in China. I mean, why are you surprised that there are NIO people sitting on Wainung's board? That's a requirement by the government. I have a company in China.
No.
It's the same thing.
So what you just heard is actually the short seller himself on his Twitter space. So that's the guy with the voice where you can clearly hear that he is smoking a lot. And the other guy is Tyler Organ, who's a Tesla investor, also on Twitter. And he is basically pointing out that, first of all, the maths doesn't really add up. And there should be actually some overcapacity of batteries. That's a point which has been discussed at length during this Twitter space. But actually, it doesn't make any sense anymore after what I've just shown you, because they're discussing back and forth like how many more batteries NIO actually should have instead of those or on top of those battery as a service subscription batteries that are locked in. But as I just pointed out, this is just a sample size. It doesn't make any sense at all to even speculate about how many more batteries they need. And the answer actually is 13 batteries per battery swap station. So around about 13,000 batteries right now with 10,000, with 1,000 battery swap stations that NIO is having right now. But you can see that the short seller is not even having his maths lined up here regarding the fleet size of NIO. So that was a little bit of another embarrassment there. But yeah, funny to see that Tyler Organ, who's not a NIO investor, actually stepped in there and kind of pointed that out.
Just judging from what Grizzly is saying here, it sounds like a lot of his, issues with battery, accountability is speculation. And judging from what he has been saying about NIO and the market in China, it kind of sounds like he doesn't understand the market there at all. Comparing the growth of NIO to XPeng and saying that NIO's numbers are falling behind. Sure, their numbers are falling behind, but their total average sale price of a vehicle is way higher than XPeng and Li Auto. So to say that, NIO is selling 10,000 cars a month and XPeng is selling 20,000, XPeng would have to be selling 30,000, 40,000 to be making the same kind of margin, the same kind of money that NIO is making on the 10,000. Another thing is you're bringing up the fact that Li Auto has recently come out with a $2 billion dilution. Do you know why they're doing that? They're doing that so they can build an EV platform, which NIO and XPeng, BYD already have. So I'm not sure what that has to do with anything here.
So this was a retail investor, Tesla Orange on Twitter, stepping in here. So he's, I think, a Tesla bull and also invested in NIO and pointing out some stuff here. So you can see the arguments have been exchanged during this Twitter space, and basically also some of the retail investors which were standing up there for NIO pointed out that basically there is not a good understanding really of NIO, how it works, and pointing out some more weaknesses here on this short thesis and the short seller report.
But just going back to the short report, which I just skimmed briefly, my problem with NIO has really always been that they spend a lot of money on stupid things. Like, for example, their NIO lounges, their battery swap stations, that sort of thing. Now, one of the key allegations in Grizzly's short report is that it's basically even worse than they're saying. They're actually losing a lot more money because of the nature of this battery swapping thing. Now, several years back, NIO announced this kind of revolutionary program where, instead of buying the battery in an electric vehicle, you can just pay a subscription and basically lease the battery, and you just own the car, and the battery can actually be swapped at these battery swapping stations. Now, this is great for the Chinese market for a lot of reasons. People live in apartments. They want to be able to swap their batteries and stuff like that, right? Because they may not have a charging station. So, theoretically that was the case. But, everybody always knew the economics were going to be terrible, right? Because at the very least, you need to have basically twice as many batteries. The battery is the biggest expense in an EV, right? You're talking maybe, $10,000 in some cases. So to double that, it's really pretty, the financials aren't good. And
so this take in the Twitter space was by the Twitter account Homar's Catalog, which is run by Omar Kasi, which, by the way, already had the chance to interview Elon Musk directly. He's a very, very big Tesla bull, and I guess he's also invested. He's also doing some full self-driving videos that I watch from time to time. And unfortunately, he's also pointing out wrong facts here. It's a little bit disappointing that kind of the EV bulls are not holding together here. Instead, he's kind of bashing on the battery swap model here and pointing out wrongly that there needs to be 2 batteries for each car sold. As I pointed out, that's not the case. And yeah, also of course it's still up to the debate whether or not NIO's different business model with also the e-commerce and lifestyle aspects are yeah, cash burning machines in the long run or not. We'll see. Surely it's a legit take to have and disagree with that and say, well, it's not the type of business that I see doing well in the future, but ultimately, yeah, weird to see he's jumping onto the take here with this short seller report. So all in all, it seems that there is some kind of a not deep enough understanding of how NIO's business model and the battery as a service and the battery as an asset management company is actually working. We'll see if that can get clarified for NIO and all of the shareholders on behalf. But as I pointed out here, the numbers in the short seller report don't add up for me. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next one.